Let's talk about Deepseek because it is mind-blowing and it is shaking this entire industry to its core. The emergence of Deepseek now putting pressure on the US tech names. We told you all about it last week in Davos. The buzz started growing about Deepseek's latest AI model being more efficient while running on a lot less advanced NVIDIA chips. Now, you can take a look right now at the AI related stocks. So NVIDIA, ARM, AMD, Microsoft, and then you have global chip stocks also in the red across the board, ASML Holdings and others.
Chips be suffering, and it might be because of the fact that China could have a better AI model than some of the Silicon Valley companies here in the United States. Now, despite the United States' best efforts to cripple China's artificial intelligence industry, a new AI startup called Deepseek has basically put the fear of God in the tech industry and the US stock market, especially the tech-heavy NASDAQ. And that's because Deepseek can match the performance of Western AI companies at a fraction of the cost and possibly a fraction of the chips necessary to run it. Now, to understand how Deepseek and its team pulled this off, we need to give you some context, so just bear with us. It was a company founded in 2023, Deepseek is. Just a year earlier, the US had actually moved to kneecap China's artificial intelligence companies by restricting chip exports. Here's more on that.
Washington has drawn a hard line against China in the AI race, cutting the country off from receiving America's most powerful chips like NVIDIA's H100 GPUs. Those were once thought to be essential to building a competitive AI model, with startups and big tech firms alike scrambling to get their hands on any available. But Deepseek turned that on its head, sidestepping the rules by using NVIDIA's less performant H800s to build the latest model and showing that the chip export controls were not the chokehold DC intended.
They were able to take whatever hardware they were trained on, but use it way more efficiently.
So one more data point worth pointing out before I go to Cenk. So the world's leading AI companies train their chatbots using supercomputers that use as many as 16,000 chips, if not more. Deepseek's engineers, on the other hand, said they needed only about 2,000 specialized computer chips from NVIDIA. And this actually led to losses on NVIDIA's stock for obvious reasons. If the AI models need less chips, well then NVIDIA is gonna sell less chips for those pursuing AI. And not only did Deepseek thrive despite the export restrictions, but their AI models have seemingly managed to beat Western AI companies cost-wise. So just one more video on that, and then I wanna hear what you think, Cenk.
The AI lab reportedly spent just $5.6 million to build Deepseek version 3. Compare that to OpenAI, which is spending $5 billion a year. And Google, which expects capital expenditures in 2024 to soar to over $50 billion. And then there's Microsoft that shelled out more than $13 billion just to invest in OpenAI. But even more stunning, how Deepseek's scrappier model was able to outperform the lavishly funded American ones. It beat Meta's Llama, OpenAI's GPT-4o, and Anthropic's Claude Sonnet 3.5 on accuracy on wide-ranging tests, a subset of 500 math problems, an AI math evaluation, coding competitions, and a test of spotting and fixing bugs in code.
So if you've noticed some of these Silicon Valley executives acting super salty on social media, this might be the reason why. I also want to just clarify one thing that's important. Keep in mind that NVIDIA chips were acquired by China, or these Chinese companies, prior to the export restrictions that were implemented by the Biden administration.
Yeah, I'm worried about this, but for a different reason. Because remember all the warnings about AI when it first came out? And you might not, because it was given by a lot of the people who are now running the AI companies. And they said, be careful, because if you program AI in the wrong way, it could basically have a mind of its own and just follow that code, even if you wrote the code wrong, right? And then perhaps harm humans. Because once you release a program into the world, hard to bring it back in. Now, there's a lot of different scenarios, and some seem far-fetched, but the people in charge of AI were super worried in the beginning. And that's why they kept saying, be careful, go nice and easy, don't make any mistakes. Well, now that China a Chinese company did this, now everybody's in a panic. They're gonna wanna go faster and be less careful.
Oh, it's a good point. That is a really good point.
And it's not just us, guys. So doesn't look like China's slowing down at all. And then you're gonna have the Europeans, and you're gonna have everybody from all across the world, the Koreans, etc. And they're all gonna want to go faster and faster and faster. And why did the guys who were warning us about AI now stop warning us about AI and start cheerleading for it? Because their companies made so much money. They're worth an enormous amount on the stock market. So that's why all of a sudden they're like, don't worry about the concerns, okay?
Yeah.
Now they're just worried about the profits. So I'm worried about the whole globe because of this development. If it leads to positive things, great. No, but I'm taking their original warnings to heart. By the way, one of the guys who gave us that warning was Elon Musk. And Elon Musk said in the beginning that he was super worried about what AI could do to humanity. And meanwhile, if you remember last week, Elon Musk took a shot at Stargate, which is supposed to compete with the Chinese on this. And so I don't know if he's bitter and jealous because he wants his own program, probably, right?
Yeah. There was definitely some competitive jealousy involved in that spat. But the other thing I want to quickly mention about why China's AI model is getting all of these rave reviews is because the company's products are open source, meaning that and the code that they're built on is freely available. In fact, Deepseek was the #1 downloaded app in the United States today. And this is, look, there's the competitive component of it. There are the safety concerns that Cenk is mentioning. Deepseek does generate revenue from users who want to plug in their applications into Deepseek's model and infrastructure. Anthony Poo, who has an unfortunate name, he's the co-founder of a Silicon Valley-based startup using generative AI to predict financial returns, said his company moved to Deepseek from Anthropic's Claude model in September. Tests showed Deepseek performed similarly for around 1/4 of the cost. So you can understand why people are, on one hand, excited about this, but then you got the Silicon Valley, tech titans who are not excited about this. And there's been this AI arms race taking place between the United States and China. And for the moment, it does appear that China has beaten American tech companies on this. The founder of the company also stated that Deepseek was created to focus on scientific research rather than consumer product development. In this brief excerpt from an Axios piece, they say that it does a good job of summarizing like how Deepseek's open source research focused model could beat the American companies. Silicon Valley startup culture relentlessly pushes research in the direction of the consumer market, but sometimes, particularly when a field is young and applications aren't immediately obvious, basic research is even more important than market share, and open research tends to overwhelm secret research. Another interesting quote is from Zach Cass, a former executive at OpenAI, who said that Deepseek's advances, despite American restrictions, underscore a broader lesson. Resource constraints often fuel creativity. So attempting to choke China's AI development through the ban of chip exports to China didn't work out so well. They found a way around it.
Of course they were gonna find a way around it. All right, the last thing for me is about Nvidia. So as Anna explained, this down 17%. Guys, just 17% of the company was worth $589 billion, not million, 589 billion. So the reason why Nvidia's hurt, dog, don't ask them if they're all right, is #1, this thing costs a lot less, and they were saying, oh man, we got this thing and it's gonna be amazing, and we got the market cornered and everybody's gonna need our chips, etc. And then once they do it open source, well then everybody, all of their competitors have access to the AI information, at least the AI model, and thereby making Nvidia's position more tenuous. So that's why that is a devastating blow to them. But hey, ironically, it's the free marketplace, right? And I say ironically because I hear from politicians all the time, Chinese Communist Party. Well, they don't look so communist today, and so
yeah. I mean, let's keep it real.
Yeah, that's my point. Keep it real. China's not really communist. They do have centralized planning and kind of a dictatorial government. That's definitely fair. And it's got its upsides, it's got its downsides for sure. But pretending that they're communists when they're kicking our ass on actual companies, right? Corporations, makes no sense.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.